Hi, welcome to Ocean's Mirror. So, as you can tell by the title, this is going to be a little bit of an observation, a review on. Actually, it's not even going to be long. An observation on Diddy's documentary. It highlighted a lot of stuff. How he treated women. How he was with his friends. His growth to power and all that. So um, what I think the part that touched me the most was the know that how he was jealous of Tupac. He's jealous of Tupac, and that's when you can see that how he's just a power hungry monster with a god complex, because that's what he is. So let me see if I could get this up. I'll go through.
Award show, with the winner being none other than 50 Cent for In the Club.
And the award for Best Rap Video goes to, come on, Playboy, 50 Cent.
And 50 Cent and Eminem would touch the stage, dapping up Diddy, seemingly on good vibes. However, that same year, something would happen that changed everything, because apparently one chance encounter between Diddy and 50 Cent had 50 feeling some type of way. Apparently in 2003, New York music executive Chris Lighty, who was close to both 50 and Diddy, held a star-studded wedding, where Lighty tied the knot with his wife Veronica. Both 50 and Diddy were in attendance, and 15 years later, whilst on an interview with The Breakfast Club, 50 revealed that Diddy had said something to him that made him uncomfortable.
He said something to me one time, a long time ago, at Chris Lighty's wedding. He told me to take me shopping.
What?
I looked at him like, what'd you just say? Let me move, man, before I do something. You're gonna make me mess up the wedding.
50 would also elaborate on this strange offer on his 2020 Drink Champs interview, when it was revealed that 50 and Diddy had been placed together on the same table at the wedding, and it was incredibly awkward.
He's like, I had 50, I think it's Steve Stout and Puff at the same table. He said it was the most awkward shit ever, and that you was instigating some shit.
And it was at this point that Diddy made the strange comment, offering to take 50 Cent shopping and pay for everything.
Then Puff was like, yeah, like first he was here, but
Oh, in other words, he's more richer than 50 Cent.
him to get Stout. Then he was like, yo, so when we gonna get the chance to, to kick it, like we can just hang out. We gotta kick it.
That's weird.
You're telling me we gotta kick it, and he was like, yo, why don't we like go shopping or something? I mean, like I pay for it. And I was like, fuck this just saying. I got the fuck away from him because I was like, this is like the fucking. Just tell me he take me shopping.
Yeah, like
Clearly, this comment
positioning
had
a
gotten under
woman.
50's skin. It's unclear if this was a misinterpreted attempt at Diddy being friendly to 50, or a sign of disrespect trying to mock his fashion sense, or perhaps, even worse, a deeply disturbing attempt at mind games to put 50 Cent in a subordinate position.
Let me get out of no, dude, you take me. That's what a guy says to a girl.
That's what I'm
Don't
saying.
make like it's just me, man. What if you do some like a little fluffy stuff
Now you
going
guys
on?
Regardless of the intent, 50 was troubled by the way that Diddy was behaving at the wedding, and from 2003 onward, he would continue making subtle jabs at Diddy and his music, such as the slick line on the November 4th, 2003 G-Unit track, Poppin' Them Thangs, where 50 joked about the time Diddy assaulted label executive Steve Stout. Luckily, the charges were dropped, and the two were back friends. They seemingly spent time on good terms, for example, being pictured together at showbiz events in 2004. But this would all change in 2006, when 50 Cent was gearing up to release his mixtape, G-Unit Radio 22, Hip Hop is Dead. As before the release of this tape, 50 had been attempting to sign former Bad Boy Records star Mace to his G-Unit collective and label. They became close, with Mace even appearing in the music video to 50's hit song Window Shopper, which dropped in November 2005, perhaps sending a sign to the world that he'd been window shopping for a new record deal. Funnily enough, there's a much deeper meaning to this, as it later emerged that 50 was offended and creeped out when Diddy offered to take him shopping, and in the music video, 50 had seemingly done the exact same thing taking Mace out for a shopping spree. Interestingly, if you look deeply at 50's lyrics in the song, there's clearly numerous jabs at Diddy that wouldn't even make sense until over 20 years later. In the hook, 50 aims open-ended bars at an unnamed hater, saying that they're mad at him and he knows why, and claiming that somebody is mad when they see him drive by, calling out an unnamed op for screw-facing him but not having the heart to diss him, seemingly hinting at Diddy potentially failing to re-sign Mace, rapping, "Why you mad at 50 when you effed up your own re-up?" and using a double entendre to say something is about to get stolen, a possible reference to Mace being poached by 50 Cent's label. But even deeper, the song has bars which I personally think hint towards some of the sexual depravity Diddy was exposed for 20 years later, such as 50 opening the track saying the top feels so much better than the bottom. And if you think I'm reaching, even Charlemagne in 2018 brought this line up when 50 told him Diddy had offered to take him shopping.
Look, we all know 50 P. Diddy was weird anyway from time. I don't know why everybody's so shocked, to be honest. I don't know why everybody's so shocked. The man was weird from long time. From the time we were hearing stuff about him and Albie Shaw and all this stuff going on. Like, you know, I just feel that how after he said what he said to 50 Cent, and there probably was other stuff. That's what made him do the documentary as well, to show and expose Diddy even more, because it looks like other like Law and Order TVs using some of his footage, like the one with the oils that was in the bathroom and stuff like that. The one where they graped Andrea Day and all that stuff, because to me there was quite a lot packed into that documentary. Because at first I wasn't going to watch it, but I decided to watch it because like I just want, like, you know, like you're curious as well. So when I saw that, how even the footage what they did of him beating up Porter, where like he had this thing. It's like he owned Porter, and it's like she's there for whatever, but then came to find out that how the other ladies, Andrea, and there's another lady that was essayed around the same time, because I think he's either Porter said that how she walked in and they was literally graping the girl. So I think 50 got loads of different interviews and different, like a deeper insight into what was going on inside of Diddy's mansion and stuff. Like I said, the beginning of it, I mean, I know I'm saying something totally different to what I'm playing, but the beginning of it is when he is built to fame. So yeah, I know it's going to get interrupted. So basically, I feel that 50 Cent had a grind to grind. 50 Cent had an axe to grind with Diddy, and I feel that how the documentary definitely exposes a lot of stuff. I was actually going to look at that instead of this, but you know, he insulted him. Like when he said that to him, like when he said, "Oh yeah, I'll take you out shopping," that sounds like when you're propositioning a woman. That's what I interpret what he interpreted it. Yeah. So when they confirm it, I'm thinking, okay, yeah, I was right. But anyways, I think I'm going to switch from this one because I really want to get to the documentary side of it. Really, the documentary side. There's so much being exposed in that documentary. There's so much in it. I don't even know. Oh yeah, let me see if I can use this one.
Your business is only using 20% of its data. Sure, you could search for the other 80% all over the place. Or you can find it in one place, HubSpot, where all the data makes all the difference. Learn more at HubSpot.com.
Lovebugs, there's a whole world of prizes waiting for you. That's
I just
satisfaction.
want to get to the
from
documentary
Ladbrokes.
itself. But I don't wanna...
Well, as you may know, rapper 50 Cent has been...
Okay. Let's add it back. Yeah, I think 50 Cent put a lot of stuff in that documentary.
teasing a documentary about his purported rival, Sean Diddy Combs, for more than a year. But now the 4-part docuseries has finally premiered on Netflix. The series explores Combs' life from his upbringing, the creation of Bad Boy Entertainment, to all of the allegations of assault and sexual abuse since the 1990s. And it also investigates his alleged connection to the deaths of iconic rappers Biggie Smalls and Tupac Shakur, featuring insights from those close to him, witnesses.
And you know what else is the strange thing is when they said when I think when he woke up in the documentary. I'm sorry, I'm gonna be giving spoilers. I'm sorry. In the documentary, there's a place where there's an area in America where Biggie where they don't go because they were having arguments with death row and different things going on, and he woke him up to take him down to this place so that he could go and perform, and it's like he set him up. When you're listening to how he sets him, seems like he sets him up. He set it up Tupac. He set it up Biggie in what was going on. He seems to be always the one in instigating stuff sometimes. Like sometimes it wasn't about business. He was like, it's like power, like, you know, when you got power and you can control people and you can control everything what they're doing. That's how the documentary came over to me more because going back even how he's raised as well, which I feel is a bad excuse, which I think, yes, fair enough, the environment makes you, yes, it does make you, but then at the same time it's like he's got toxic masculinity going on, and there seems to be like he just did a lot. Honestly, I was thinking, wow, this man he did too much. I think halfway through the episodes, I was like, wow, he just totally believed that he can just control people. Like even with when they're making their records, at the BD Award, or one of the rappers said that how right you always turning right. It's like you're making double money. They wasn't getting paid for the videos or stuff what they was doing. So one of the rappers spoke out. They're saying that how right you don't always be dancing up in the videos. You like you know, like we're the artists kind of thing. And it showed that side, like of it. Obviously later on you see Snoop come in, you see Craig Mack and all the others. Even Craig Mack, when he saw it was getting too much, he kind of came out of it. Because I always wondered what happened to Craig Mack, because I was playing his album one day, or single one day, and I was thinking, I wonder what happened to him. Right, you know, he just totally disappeared. Like, so Puff instigated a lot of BS amongst the artists. Obviously, there is gang going on and stuff going on and other things going on, but it's like he was more the instigator of stuff. Now, the thing with Tupac as well, right? Tupac, I believe, would have been even greater than ever, right? Tupac would have been massive because of how he worked, how he did his music. He was popular with everybody. He was very popular within the rap industry, right? They always said that how when Tupac be working, he worked really hard to get his songs out. He's like a lyricist. He's a bit like Biggie. He was a natural lyricist. You didn't have to try hard. So because Puffy saw that how he was getting all this popularity from the artists around him as well as others, he was jealous of him. And I'm just like, which will happen in that type of industry as well. Right. Also, if I'm able, I'm gonna play one channel who probably breaks it down. But if I don't do it today, I'm gonna do it another time, because I was trying not to follow the Diddy trial, to be honest, because after I saw what he did to, what's the name, Kim Porter, I said, nah. I said I can't follow what's going on with him, like on that level. I'd rather wait to when they release like how they release the documentaries, because there's so many documentaries on this guy. So so it's like 50 Cent have put in a lot of stuff in there, which if people in the night, like us lot in the 90s, like was saying, oh, like a lot of people was suspicious about him on certain levels. I remember Sean Davey Way doing breakdowns on Diddy and certain stuff and what was going on in the studios and all sorts of stuff, and where Justin Timberlake and certain ones, things will happen to them. And so the documentary, like I said, well, when you're watching it, you'll say, oh, okay, I was right about him then. I was right about, because I used to like the video with him and Mace, but then even Mace kind of disappears from Bad Boy Records. I think that was his company called. Mace disappears. Certain artists disappears. Mary J. Blige, in like, you do actually see she's scared. She's standing next door to him. There is a little bit of fear in her. So even somebody highlighted it, and I said, yeah, you even see it all over her face. It's like, and then he kept saying, look, I will take out your family or something. So he was making threats on a regular. But they said that sometimes bodies will turn up. You'll see bodies turn up. Somebody got shot in the face, all sorts of things. It's, like I said, it is a documentary to watch. So, you know what I mean? I'm going to try not to give it all away, but I just want to play this as well. If you have seen it, you've seen it, but then you can still leave a comment and you can tell me what you think as well.
From his racketeering and sex trafficking trial, and jurors who heard weeks of testimony. So we're not only going to dig into some of the biggest moments from this series, but also what Combs' legal team is doing, because they are pushing back quite hard against the whole accusations of wrongdoing. Since Combs' arrest at the Park Hyatt Hotel in Manhattan in September of 2024, there have been several documentaries that have been released about the rapper's rise to the top of the music industry. There have been shows about his trial. But one of the most anticipated retrospectives is from a reportedly years-long rival of Combs, rapper Curtis Jackson, better known as 50 Cent. He is the executive producer of this project, initially teasing it with the title Diddy Do It, but the series was retitled Sean Combs: The Reckoning. It was released on Netflix on December 2nd, and it has skyrocketed to the top of the charts. In fact, 50 Cent posted on his Instagram on Wednesday, #1 on Netflix. You know, if you really like this docuseries, I'll make more, LOL. Now, the documentary's director, Alexandra Stapleton, said in a statement to Billboard, quote, "This isn't just about the story of Sean Combs or the story of Cassie or the story of any of the victims or the allegations against him or the trial. Ultimately, this story is a mirror reflecting us as the public and what we are saying when we put our celebrities on such a high pedestal. I hope this documentary is a wake-up call for how we idolize people and to understand that everybody is a human being. Okay, but here's the thing. Just one day before the series was set to air, Combs' attorneys sent a cease and desist letter to the streaming giant, calling the documentary essentially a hit piece, demanding it be removed. Now we're going to take a closer look at that letter, the arguments that Combs' team is making for all of this to be taken down. But first, I want to talk about some of the biggest, maybe most shocking moments from the series, and then we'll get to the C&D letter. So to do all that, I want to welcome back on Elizabeth Vulai, legal counsel here at Law and Crime, who knows a thing or two about the inner workings of the media and when things are brought in. But you also watched the entire show. Elizabeth, it's good to see you. Thanks for taking the time. Now you watched all of it. What was your main takeaway from the series? As somebody who actively followed the Diddy criminal case, has been here on side talking about the case, talking about his civil cases that he's facing. What was your main takeaway?
Was a really sort of original documentary, well put together. There were 4 episodes, usually most of them around an hour long, so it's very thorough. I think the 2 key takeaways were, one, everybody's talking about access to this footage and where it came from. One of the things that I think Diddy had done was he had said he'd hired a videographer. He's someone who films himself, as we've come to know, for most of his career and life. So he had hired this videographer to kind of follow him through this process. I'm not sure if the thinking was, he thought that he might evade the charges and come out with his own documentary afterwards. But just the access of footage that we get, we hear him speaking to his legal team. It's very rare you get an insight into that because, again, that's usually covered under attorney-client privilege. So speaking to his legal team, kind of his own thoughts about what was going on, because also remember, at this point, we really hadn't heard Diddy talk much about this. He had issued an apology over that video of him and Cassandra Ventura in that hotel hallway months before. But
my bad, I called her Kim Porter, didn't I? I mean, Cassie. I called her Kim. It's not Kim, it's Cassie. No, yeah, you kind of hear. Yeah, he's like, he looks worried in the beginning. I was like, no, you just see him. I was like, the opening. You're like, what's going on? Like, he just looks very worried. Hold on. But he's very weird in what he does. Certain stuff he does. You can see he has tendencies to do certain things.
The other thing that struck me was just how in depth it went. There's been a lot of documentaries and coverage on the Diddy case. People are covering the allegations, him and Cassandra Ventura. But, one of the episodes goes into his history with Biggie and Tupac and insinuations there, and kind of going a little bit deeper into his upbringing and his career, a little bit further beyond what a lot of other people have covered.
By the way, yeah, we're talking cease and desist letter here, potential legal action, maybe financial repercussions. You might not relate to all this. Let me tell you something that a lot of Americans relate to. Credit card debt. Okay, this is real. This isn't an accident. Every call, every fee, every high interest trap, it is a system designed to keep Americans stuck. The banks profit, the creditors win, but real families lose. Today's sponsor, though, PDS Debt, helps people fight back. So whether it's credit cards or personal loans or medical bills, PDS Debt has customized options to help you pay off debt faster. And in fact, there's deliberately, knowingly recording that, the privilege, anything that he says to his attorney, that's waived, right?
Pre-loved, verified, it's the real deal. Find great deals on eBay.
What lurks in the forest of Norway?
Correct. So that was one of the first thoughts I had is, he's speaking to Mark Agnifilo, who's the lead attorney on his legal team. They're talking about, overall case strategy, the indictment that they expect to come down. My first thought was, we've never seen this before. This must be privileged. But again, you forget there's a videographer in the room. So when you think about attorney-client communications, yes, that's usually covered under privilege. But if you have a third party that you're inviting into those communications, that's not necessary, unless the person is an interpreter or maybe an accountant. If you have a videographer that's there not for legal reasons, you can make that argument that, the privilege is waived.
And by the way, that conversation, the actual context of it, it's something that we always were thinking was going on behind the scenes. There was a sense of frustration about how the media and social media was portraying Diddy and the narrative. And he was like, we're losing. And he was getting a bit combative with Mark Agnifilo about what was going on. And he's like, look, I did everything. You said I'm like basically an ideal client, a star client. I did everything you want. I came to New York. And like he was just waiting to see if he would be arrested and indicted. And that was like a bit of tension there, which it's a rare behind the scenes glimpse of what those conversations and what those moments are between an accused and their defense attorney before the hammer drops.
Yes, very rare. And that's, I think, one of the things that struck me and what a lot of people are talking about. Again, you don't usually get a window into that. I think the push and pull was, in the conversation, Mark Agnifilo had said, look, an indictment hasn't been dropped yet. The indictment came down September 16th of last year. And Mark Agnifilo had said it's mid-September at that point. So I think the indictment was really just about to drop. So at that point, you have Diddy who, he said, look, I've come to New York. I've basically surrendered. His legal team is taking the position you have to cooperate and kind of show that you're here ready to take this head on. But then Diddy's sort of saying, we need to get someone out there on the comms front as somebody who's, in his words, has dealt with the dirty side of media and propaganda. So I think what Diddy was trying to say was, there's nothing to be done legally on the criminal front because no indictment had been dropped yet. But in the court of public opinion, it seemed like he wanted to take a more aggressive approach to put a certain message out there. And his attorney seemed to kind of think the opposite.
And just to be clear, so the documentary begins with this shot of Combs in his hotel room in New York. This is, I believe, just 6 days before his arrest last year. Turns out Combs had hired this videographer to film him while he's in New York. The documentary's producers got their hands on this footage, and he's talking on speakerphone.
So basically, he set it up to try and make himself look like he's the victim, basically, instead of... See, that's why I like Sidebar. They explain a lot. That's interesting. Because I was thinking, I see him sitting on the bed just having a conversation with himself. Because I haven't, like I said, I haven't watched the trial or anything on the trial much. Well, at all, much really. So when I saw him sitting on the bed having a kind of a convo with himself, I'm thinking, why is he having that conversation with himself? I didn't really catch what was the conversation about.
Phone with Mark Agnifilo, this high-powered attorney, who is, by the way, just one of several lawyers he would have on his multi-person legal team, and says that more needs to be done to help his public image, that it appeared to him like they were losing. And remember, again, this is before he was officially indicted and arrested. Now, apparently he knew it was coming. He'd been under investigation for months at this point. In a statement to NBC News, Combs' publicist, Judah Engelmeyer, said, quote, "The footage was created for an entirely different purpose under an arrangement that was never completed, and no rights were ever transferred to Netflix. A payment dispute between outside parties does not create permission for Netflix to use unlicensed private material. None of this footage came from Mr. Combs or his team, and its inclusion raises serious questions about how it was obtained and why Netflix chose to use it." Now, Elizabeth, we're going to talk more about what Combs' legal team has to say in this cease and desist letter, but what's your reaction to that?
Yeah, it's hard to say because there's still such a big question mark in the air because, Curtis Jackson, aka 50 Cent, is one of the executive producers on the series. Him, the director, Netflix in general, is not saying where they got this footage, only that it was obtained legally. Diddy's side is saying this is coming from a videographer I hired. I know we'll get into the cease and desist. One of the arguments they make is, this is subject to NDAs or agreements that the videographer had signed with Diddy because he was, employed by Diddy, and therefore the footage belongs to Diddy. That's the argument that they're making. So it's difficult to say because Netflix is not really saying how or where they got this footage from. One of the things that they did say was that it was sent to them legally. So, if you have the videographer sending the footage to them physically, that would be fine, but it does leave a question mark about where the legal rights are coming from. The only really avenue I see is if there's some way that the videographer had obtained a license for the footage, then the videographer would have the ability to take that license and then transfer the footage over to Netflix. But if the footage belongs to Diddy, then that's a little bit tough.
That's a good point. Okay, let's keep that in mind. We'll talk about that in a minute. I do want to talk about the content of the series. So the series featured interviews with many people who were at one point in Combs' inner circle. This includes Aubrey O'Day, who was a member of the girl group Danity Kane, which was created on Combs' MTV show Making the Band. She has since accused Combs of basically grooming her, firing her for refusing to give in to...
Don't forget the grape.
his alleged sexual advances. We have Albie Shore, singer, songwriter, former record executive, dated Kim Porter before she was in a relationship with Combs. There's Roger Bonds, one of Combs' apparent former bodyguards, who's gone on the record to say that he knew Combs was allegedly physically violent with his then girlfriend, Cassie. At one point in his interview with the documentary's producers, he said of Combs, "When I first met him, I liked him as a person because I didn't know him." You have Kalina Harper, who was part of Combs' group Diddy Dirty Money, released a statement supporting him after the third member of that group, Dawn Richard, had filed a lawsuit against Combs. And in the documentary, Combs can be heard calling Harper to complain about the lawsuit, asking her to put out a statement. A former friend, business partner of Combs, who appears throughout the documentary, is Kirk Burroughs, the co-founder of Bad Boy Records. The two apparently worked very closely together for years. Burroughs served as the general manager, handling the rapidly growing company's funds. And according to Burroughs, when they started Bad Boy, Burroughs was given a 25% stake in the company, with the other 75% being in Combs' mother's name, Janice Combs' name. And we're going to get more into why Burroughs alleges it was set up that way in just a second. But according to Burroughs, Combs allegedly threatened him in 1996 with a baseball bat, forcing him to sign over his stake. So Burroughs apparently sued in 2003. The lawsuit was thrown out because too much time had passed since the alleged incident. And more recently, Burroughs sued Janice Combs for fraud, Combs himself for sexual harassment. This is according to a report from Cinemaholic. And those appear to be ongoing, by the way. Now, Burroughs claims that he was blacklisted from the entertainment industry, led to periods of homelessness. He's since re-entered the music industry, starting Pop Life Entertainment in 2018. This is also per Cinemaholic. So, Elizabeth, there's a lot here. But what did you make of the Burroughs part where he was proving, this kind of relationship that he had, and that he was coerced into giving up his stake in what would become a multi-million-dollar company? I mean, I guess the allegation is basically that Diddy...
If you're entertaining friends this Christmas, make sure you have plenty of Philadelphia in your fridge so you can whip up this tasty Philly pesto.
Ruined his life.
Yeah, that was there are a lot of difficult moments in the documentary. I watched all 4 episodes as mentioned, and that was a tough one. And again, information that we hadn't really seen before in prior documentaries. So, this is someone who had co-founded Bad Boy Entertainment with him. A lot of the things he was saying seemed to kind of run along the theme that I think prosecutors were trying to push in the actual case, was that in the prosecutor's view, this is somebody who will do anything to basically get what he wants. He doesn't really care what effects or damage that causes to other people. And it's in different ways, right? Whether it's in the context of alleged abuse, business disputes, alleged sexual assaults, things that have been alleged in the civil lawsuits against him. And I think with Burroughs, it was really, kind of seemed to strike that theme as well, because he's saying, he had forced me out of the stake of my company. He had to deal with things like homelessness, while in the 2000s and 2010s, Diddy was really prospering, music, business, fashion. And one of the things that he had said, what he alleged in the documentary, and again, this is an allegation from him, was that the name Bad Boy Entertainment, Combs's name was not really involved in that on the corporate side. And one of the things he's saying is the reason for that was to avoid having to pay any liability from, the devastating basketball game that had happened in the early 90s, where he was the subject of wrongful death lawsuits because of the multiple deaths that had occurred as a result of that basketball game that Diddy was behind organizing. So that was really, surprising to hear.
Yeah, that was a big allegation, because the families of the victims killed in that stampede, it was horrible. We're talking about December 28th, 1991. Combs, fellow rapper Heavy D, they hosted this charity basketball game. The game took place at the gymnasium of the City College of New York. And according to the New York Daily News, before the basketball game started, people who weren't let inside, they broke a window, swarmed toward the entrance of the gym, all went down a staircase. The doors at the bottom of those stairs opened towards the stairs, not towards the gym. So once a crowd got down there, they couldn't get the doors open and people started being crushed. 9 people died. Dozens of others were injured. And there were no criminal charges.
Like they said in the documentary, wherever he goes, bodies will follow him. Literally.
That were ever filed against anyone for the stampede, but multiple families and injured victims, they filed lawsuits. And that's just one part, right? So I actually wanted to get into this too. The docuseries devoted a lot of time to the killings of Tupac Shakur and Biggie Smalls and Combs' alleged connections to this, to both men, obviously knew both of them. So there have been accusations made in the past that Combs' involvement in the East Coast, West Coast rap feud of the 90s, there was more than just talk, that it could have involved things like hit orders. Now, to be clear, these are allegations. There's no evidence to suggest this. This series, though, it emphasizes that he has never been investigated or charged regarding their assassinations. Nevertheless, several interviewees during this documentary expressed that Combs' actions seem suspicious in hindsight. The documentary plays part of an interview that Dwayne Keefe D. Davis did with investigators looking into Tupac's murder, which had become a cold case. And on the tapes, Keefe D says that Combs agreed to pay him if he killed Tupac and also rival record label head Suge Knight. Now, Davis allegedly admitted that his nephew Orlando Anderson was the one who shot the men, killing Tupac, injuring Knight. But Davis says Combs never came through with any payment. And by the way, Davis is currently awaiting trial for Tupac's murder in Las Vegas. Combs has always denied any involvement in the assassination. That was a big moment, I would say. Elizabeth, that was a big part of this. I didn't know that was going to be
No, but it did look suspicious after was it the fight. There's a fight that happened in the hotel, fight or something happened, and then like I think it was either was it Biggie? I can't remember the part now, but when that happens, he just casually walks out. He just casually walks out, and then this goes back. He doesn't even check on to see whether the person's living or dead or whatever, but. There is one where like there is bodies are covered near the bin or something, near a big huge bin thing, and so they were saying that how he'll put hits out, and he said it on a mic or something, that how he, like I said, he will do a family like kind of like Scarface situation or Godfather-ish situation. The guy definitely had a God complex. He thought he was bigger than who he was, definitely, because you can see it within how he spoke to people, how he approached people. I feel that how because even how they describe how Tupac got pow, where they said that how they just saw this hand, because they had a whole entourage following Tupac and Suge Knight's car, and all of a sudden they see this hand come out, and then Pac got killed. Because they said normally when they ride, obviously fans will come and they will say stuff to Pac or whatever, because Pac is one of them who really stands out. Wherever he goes, he stands out. So that night when it happened, they said that, right? They said that how there was driving in front, and then there's one car. How they was doing it is like one car in the middle, one car in front, one car behind. And then they said out of nowhere come this car on the side, because normally when they're driving, there's not a lot of cars where they're driving, but out of nowhere come this car. So then the hand reached out. So it gives you a description it gives you an idea of how Pac died, because even Biggie, because even though Puff Daddy came in between Biggie and Tupac's friendship, when Biggie heard that Tupac died, he said he said he's like he couldn't believe it because like, you know, like they were close friends, they were real good friends. There's real good friends. It's only because of the feud what broke up their friendship. So I feel the documentary explains a lot of things, even if like you wasn't really into finding out what was going on with all the other stuff, right? And if you knew about it that time, but it kind of explains a lot of stuff to you. So there is a lot of detail within the documentary. It don't just show, okay, it's gang violence or it's this, you know, like normally, right, when they show certain things when it comes to rap or hip hop, it's always shown a certain way. It actually delve into, you actually get the understanding of the backstory of some of the rappers and why the reasons why things was happening, why there was a feud between between Bad Boy and the other side. You know what I mean? So, you know, where they couldn't go, which over here that'd be known as the postcode war, where you can't go. Okay, you can't go over there because there's another side, another rival gang is on that side. So it gives you a lot of insight. That's basically what I'm trying to say. You know, it covers a whole lot.
A part of this documentary.
I was really surprised as well. So I believe it's the second episode that dedicates a lot of time to it. And like you said, there have been insinuations in the past. They played video clips of, Sean Combs being asked in prior interviews in the 90s and 2000s, do you know, who killed these men? Did you have any involvement? He's always denied it. To be clear, these are just allegations. But yeah, that was really, really shocking. And one of the sort of a little bit more of the backstory behind his alleged involvement with Tupac was that a lot of the interviewees in the documentary were saying that Biggie, who was signed with Bad Boy and who was really close with Diddy at the time, was starting to form a friendship with Tupac, and they were getting really close. And a lot of the interviewees were saying, in their view, Diddy didn't really appreciate that. So I think that a lot of the themes that you see again is coming up as him sort of wanting and needing to be the number one person in people's lives, whether it was personal, business. And it's really interesting because you see a lot of the themes that, again, the prosecution was trying to push forward that we saw in his personal life with Cassandra Ventura, always needing to be number one, not necessarily regarding the damages he's doing to other people in the prosecution's eyes, right? Playing out in the business sense. So the backstory is that he didn't appreciate the friendship that was forming between Biggie and Tupac, and therefore...
Because he was jealous. He's jealous of that friendship because he's never had a close friend that's like that. There was a jealousy amongst that. He wanted a friend like Biggie for himself. Like because Tupac and Biggie was become true friends from day one. You can see it even in the pictures, the interactions between them. You can see how they spoke to each other, how they interact with each other. There's this poster that I used to have. I think it's either of him and Snoop or him and Biggie. When they stand together as brothers. It's not just okay, this is my colleague. It was a lot more deeper than that. So that's how I interpret it, because Puff kind of eased his way into the industry. He eased his way into it. He kind of bought his way into it. True say he was good at events because they explained because he was good at making money. He was one of those ones like when they ask him, okay, create an event, he will create an event and there'll be money made. He was one of that type of person, but he wanted to go higher and higher and higher. He wanted to own all of the rappers. Like he always wanted to be there when something's going on. He have them around him, but he'll be the one it's like a dictatorship. That's how he dealt with the people. He didn't see them as humans. He saw them as dollar signs. That's all there was to him, right? And plus, because he was doing other stuff behind the scene, which is what I was getting. Right? He initially saw that how Puck and Biggie ride for each other. And he probably didn't have that type. Like I said, once again, it comes down to friendships. Right? People will be jealous of certain friendships because that it's like that connection that person have. Plus Puck, when he worked with Biggie, right? He worked with him very well. But when he intervened, that's when he started to like probably say he slept with Faith Evans and all this stuff. And then things escalated. It literally escalated. It turned in, I think, I can't remember whether they're South or North or whatever. It just turned into them against us kind of thing, or you know what I mean, that rivalry. And you can clearly, and so one, like I said, all this is indicated within the documentary, so you get a full understanding of everything, like why certain things happened, right? Even Mary J. Blige, some of her records, I feel, it's like she kind of went quiet for a while. I don't know, but I think they only mention her a couple times, but it's like yeah, there's a part in the documentary where he's standing next door to her, and she's like at a distance, like at a distance. You can see it written all over her face, like something ain't too good going on. But you know, so he was just disgusting, just disgusting man.
You know, that's where his alleged involvement came in. And then when in terms of the non-payment, I think that was also a really shocking moment as well, because that's something we saw happening over and over in the documentary. Multiple people who were saying, I was cheated out of my share in the company. I wasn't paid hundreds of thousands of dollars. And
yeah, I talked about that earlier. Yeah, with Craig Mack and others, right, where like they wouldn't see where the money is going. They wasn't getting paid. They wasn't getting paid at all. They wouldn't see no comeback, no result of all of what they built or from their songs, like their royalties or whatever.
Allegedly, that's sort of how he treated the artists that were on his label. So again, it's the theme of always wanting to be number one, and you know, not necessarily giving people their due, business sense or personal sense.
Okay, so with that, I will tell you, I think one of the most shocking allegations comes to Biggie Smalls, okay? You talk about finances, you talk about, okay, one of the biggest names at Bad Boy, seemingly very close friends with Sean Combs. Well, according to Kirk Burrows, Combs, and again, this is his allegation, according to Kirk Burrows, Combs insisted that Biggie travel to Los Angeles as part of an album tour. And this is despite, you know, the serious dangers that were present from the rivalries, the East Coast, West Coast. And once there, Combs allegedly decided to cancel a trip that Biggie was supposed to take to the UK, instead saying he needed to stay in LA. Combs apparently threw a large party, and after which, someone opened fire on the car that Biggie was riding in, killing him. Now, Burrows alleges that Combs used all of this publicity around Biggie's murder and his massive funeral to...
Yeah, yeah, that part, that there was crazy, because like he said, oh yeah, right, he's paying for his own funeral. Like, what? You're the manager, right, and all that. Right, why would you say such a thing? He's the way he said it, and he said it so casually, it's like from there you knew, okay, it's either he had something to do with it somewhere along the line. It's like confirmation. He must have had something to do with it. He must have, because why would you say that? Like we've seen people like I can't think of ones who has producers and they done the funerals and all that stuff. They never said, okay, right, they're paying for their own funeral. Why would you say that? It is crazy. And even his mother, his mother had, Puff's mother also had little parts to play in certain stuff too.
To just gain his own fame for his own benefit, shooting to the top of the charts with the song Missing You, which featured, by the way, Biggie's widow. But this was one salacious claim that I really wasn't expecting. According to Burrows, Combs allegedly charged the cost of that massive funeral to Biggie's estate and had Biggie's recently renegotiated contract changed to make it more favorable for Bad Boy Records and less favorable for Biggie's loved ones after his death. Elizabeth, again, that one I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, it was really unexpected. And again, I think it speaks to the strength of the documentary, just at least creatively and what they were able to get in terms of the interviewees, claims that we hadn't heard before. So the claims were that, he had wanted in the documentary, the interviews talk about Diddy had said, we need to put on the biggest funeral New York has ever seen for Biggie. And when allegedly, when he saw how much it would cost, that's when he had said, we'll be charging this to the estate, allegedly. One of the other things was he had wanted to put out that song about Biggie after he had passed away. And that was really a big moment. He had performed it at the MTV Movie Awards. And then one of the other claims was, Biggie was set to debut on the cover of Rolling Stone, or at least be on the cover of Rolling Stone. And allegedly, one of the interviewees says after he had passed, Sean Combs had called him and said, I'm coming out with my first solo album. I need that cover. So Sean Combs had allegedly taken that cover from Biggie even after he had passed away. And again, it kind of rides to this theme of
absolutely selfish.
In the public, his friend had passed away. He was devastated. But sort of what you see behind the scenes, at least.
Biggie was not his friend. He was not Biggie's friend. I don't know whether you guys watch the same thing I watch, but he was not Biggie's friend. He wasn't. For the time that he can't go into certain parts and you're cancelling on him, you cancel his UK tour, you send him down to a place where he could get on a live. He was not his friend. Okay? Puff was not Biggie's friend. Tupac was more Biggie's friend. Puff is an opportunist. Probably still is now, even though he's in prison. He's still an opportunist. All right. So he needs to go down for those deaths as well. He should go down for that. For Cassie, the thing that happened with Cassie, and Andrea Day, Audrey Day, and the other lady. He needs to go down for all that. Literally, he's disgusting. Honestly.
What the documentary is alleging is all the different ways he's using that to help benefit him financially and in terms of his career, which is something that we hadn't seen before. And, even myself, like I'm sure you empathize, Jesse, as a millennial. We grew up seeing Diddy, knowing the backstory of him and Biggie and sort of knowing that song and thinking, oh, they were close friends. He paid tribute to his friend. That's so moving. And then to hear all of these allegations, it really paints, another picture.
I remember when that happened. Remember when that happened. It was such a sad time. And to think about them dedicating a song to his close friend, I mean, it hit an emotional core. You looked at Diddy in a totally different light. Now, these, again, are a different narrative, a different allegation. We're trying to piece it together. I do want to get into the jurors, okay? So the jurors at the trial. Before we do, let me just highlight a couple more things, and then we'll get into the jurors in the cease and desist letter. So one gripping moment in the series, I got to call it out, came when Aubrey O'Day, again, this former Danity Kane member who spoke out against Combs after Cassie had filed her lawsuit, reads this affidavit from another unidentified person that detailed an alleged sexual assault against her. And in that affidavit, the witness said they walked in on Combs and another man performing sex acts on O'Day, who the witness said appeared to be heavily inebriated, was just lying there. And O'Day became emotional when she was reading this, saying she'd never actually seen this document.
Hold on. I hate when it does that. I just move it just a little bit and it goes crazy. Yeah, that part there was sad because she literally broke down crying. It's like she couldn't believe it and she said that how if she was to talk out, she will hurt her own self in a kind of way. She can't win. She's in a catch-22 situation. I said, wow. The man done a crime against her and she can't get him back for it. Madness, absolute madness. The man's disgusting. Right? She was out of it. She was sedated. So it could have either be a great drug that they put in or something. Because even when they do go to the place, they find all these other different drugs and stuff all over the place, right? The woman was devastated, and she couldn't even talk out about. She can't say nothing because she said, if I talk out, then it's all gonna come back to me, innit? Right? The man's wicked. Man's very wicked. Honestly. Honestly. No heart. The devil himself. What was I saying now? I can't remember. Sorry about that. I dropped out majorly. My thing always glitch. You know how it goes. Yeah, but the man was wicked. What he did to Andrea, was it Andrea Day and others? Because there was a lot of allegations. A lot of allegations, man. He's just so I don't know. Because there's technical difficulties. I've got to cut up. However, I might do a part 2 on this. If not, I will just do little short lives like I normally do. Okay? Because it keeps going off. I don't know why. But anyway, with that said, I will see you. Thank you, my for coming, and I'll see you later. Take care. Bye.